Hey everyone. So I'm back and you're back. Thanks for subscribing and being part of this channel. I want to talk about, again, and re-emphasize the goal and the passion project, I guess you would call this, behind my channel. And specifically this playlist, which is called Real Life Vlogs for Awakening. Now, I'm re-emphasizing this because sometimes I neglect making a video for YouTube because real life can be very challenging. And the topic of today is spirituality and mental health, and how these things go together, how in fact they are not separate, but there is a lot of feelings that sometimes get twisted up when we talk about these things. And this is also the reason why I haven't made a video in a couple months, a vlog rather, talking about what's been going on. Now, part of the reason for this is because my last video that I made is talking about my experience at a Qigong retreat at the end of June and how I healed my migraines and anxiety and a lot of the really awful things that were going on. And I had a lot of people come to me and say, "Oh, this is so amazing, I'm so happy for you, wow, how did you do it?" and this and that. And I was feeling so good for about 2 weeks. And after that 2 weeks, some things happened that triggered my symptoms again, and I didn't want to go back and say, oh, you know, these things have come back. It triggered a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of like, I just didn't want to talk about it. And I think that's understandable, as, you know, these things are painful enough within yourself, and you don't want to, I don't know, it almost felt like a false advertisement, even though it wasn't. And that's why I wanted to kind of clear this up right now, because it was true that I healed myself, and it was true that there's nothing false about any of that. But what I've come to see within myself is that healing is a journey, and there should be no shame in showing people and showing yourself, admitting to yourself that, you know, one event is not necessarily going to cure everything. And so you have to see that, you know, there's an ebb and flow, you know, there's different things that you have to walk, and moments where you're going to feel the joys and moments where you're going to feel the pains. And I do feel that healing that took place was really, really powerful, and is making progress within me on a really deep level. But the truth is, a lot of things also have been very, very difficult for me in the last couple of months, and most people didn't know that because I released my first single on iTunes, and you know, I think it's funny because a lot of people, when they see those kinds of things, they assume that you know, that my life is this constant ebb and flow of amazing things, and maybe they don't, but I guess the point of this playlist, this Real Life Vlogs for Awakening, is being able to talk about what really moves me on an everyday basis. The song on iTunes was a beautiful expression of my devotion to my practice, my devotion to my teacher, Master Lin, my devotion to continuing this journey of life. And to be honest with you, it took me a total of 4 days to make the arrangement, to learn the Chinese. Well, Chinese took me a little bit longer, but to record it, to arrange it, and to produce it and put it onto iTunes. So, you know, that was 4 days of my life. And what I'm going through right now, so that was a lot of foundation material, foundational, I guess, information. I'm trying to find my words right now, it's hard, for what I'm about to talk about. So mental health and spirituality. Be patient with me. It's hard for me to find my words right now when I have migraines. So I'm doing a lot of therapy. I'm going through this type of therapy called neurofeedback that works with the brain, rewiring the brain. So I get hooked up to these electrodes twice a week, and I basically watch on the screen what my brain is doing. So it's like playing a video game, but you can see in real time what your brain is doing. It's really fascinating. Really fascinating stuff, and so that's a new kind of therapy that I'm utilizing to help with my chronic pain. So yes, you know, the migraines I'm working with still. I've been working with Master Lin as well, my teacher Master Lin, with Qigong, and that's been helping me too. But mental health and spirituality. Here's the point that I want to touch on real quick. Because of my very deep spirituality that I've had throughout my life, and my very early publishing of teachings from God, doing channeling for people, and kind of being very open about being out in the world, in the public eye. Not that I'm famous or anything like that. I'm not trying to make it sound like some big deal. I'm just saying that, you know, there has been a little bit of a, I guess, how people view me, about having it all together, or having all of the answers, or, you know, being connected spiritually, and that I must not have to go through a lot of things. And the mental health thing, I think people that I know, many people that are very spiritually connected, go through these periods of disconnect, perceived disconnect, or periods where they feel guilty that they're feeling what they're feeling. So what I did not know until very recently is that what I'm working through right now is PTSD. I thought that I had an anxiety disorder. I've been working very, very hard at it for many years, doing lots of different kinds of therapy, really since 2016, and working through different events that have been hard for me. And I stopped doing soul readings in February, end of January-ish, and a lot of people have been asking me what's going on. A lot of people have been emailing me, like, why aren't you doing this? And why aren't you uploading videos? And a lot of questions. And it, you know, it caused me to feel a lot of shame and a lot of things around what I'm going through, and feeling like it's abnormal, and just wanting to feel like myself again. And so with all these things, I really just didn't want to go onto YouTube and say that, you know, I'm working through these things that are really, really, really major. And it doesn't matter what the events were that caused that. It doesn't matter the diagnosis itself. But I guess, you know, what I wanted to say is that they, you know, all these things are not separate. And it really bothers me that, you know, a lot of people act like in order to be spiritual, you have to just talk about love and light, and you don't touch on the shadows. And it's made me really pull away from a lot of people. And, you know, this isn't being critical or anything of anyone in particular, just the fact that I'm noticing myself feeling separate and feeling isolated from a lot of people and a lot of different groups and things that I used to be a part of. And I think it's, you know, it's one, because I've gone into the depths in a really, really big way, and that has a way of isolating, you know, creating that isolation feeling. But number two, just noticing the disconnect in my desire to be around people that ignore that is there, and that is a teaching, and it's a beautiful thing. And so, you know, to be honest with you, you know, there's a lot of guilt around saying how I really feel. And you know, without sugarcoating it. And so I you know, I find myself sometimes saying, oh, well, you know, blah, 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 and then I notice how dark it sounded, and I say, yeah, but, you know, I know that I'm, you know, I know who I am, and I know that I'm going to get through this, and I know that blah, blah, blah. And it's almost like, well, why did I have to add all that extra filler stuff on top of it? And it's because, you know, there's this, like, sort of shame around it, and maybe people won't understand, or it sounded too dark, or it sounded whatever. And so I've really found myself, like, not wanting to talk to so many different people, including posting videos online, because there's a lot of fear around getting criticism, or people telling me to do things that I already know. My favorite is just connect to the oneness. Which is hilarious to me, because this is part of the oneness. This experience that so many people are saying, oh, you're trying to get away from that. You just go to the oneness. No. The oneness is part of this. The fear, the agitation, the anxiety, the stress, all that disconnect, all that negative stuff that we don't want to say, that we experience, that we want to push away, that is part of the oneness. Oneness includes all things. So I'm really trying to accept where I am right now, and also to see that this is guiding me to helping more people. But right now I'm really not wanting to be not wanting to be very present in the world. I'm trying to wake up and have a good day. Right now, having a boring day is a success to me. Having no flashbacks within a day, having no nightmares is a success to me. I don't want to go into all the details. I'm just not there yet. I'm not ready to. And I don't know if it's really necessary. But what I did want to say is, it's really been hurtful, all the people that I no longer feel close to. Again, nobody's fault at all. But I guess I'm noticing how so many people are not willing to go there. They're not willing to go into the depths, and maybe that's because they don't know how to. They haven't done it themselves in their own lives. But the truth is, I constantly feel like I'm astounding people. Whether it is something, that I experienced spiritually that was really beautiful, I get, oh my gosh, wow, that's so amazing. And, I've never been able to touch that level. And that was isolating. That was a form of isolation. And now where I am is, oh my gosh, I don't know how to live. And don't take that the way that you might take that. I want to be on this planet more than anybody, but I don't want to live in this pain that I have right now. And that's what I mean by I don't know how to live. I don't know how to live without the fear that I have in my life right now. And I'm just seeing how, I can really relate to people that have gone through this deep sorrow, and there's so many famous people out there that talk about it. And my own teacher, Master Lin, went through it actually when he was about my age, and he went through a great turmoil in his life as well. And I'm sure it caused him isolation as well, but it also brought him very close to his life purpose. And it's very hard near impossible for me to think about something that is enjoyable to me right now, when I'm just thinking about survival. I'm thinking about therapy. I'm thinking about my life goals. I'm thinking about how to stay present with my purpose, and how to stay on my own heels about sharing it with all of you, because the one thing that I've stayed really close to is wanting to share what nobody else shares. I feel like that's what sets me apart from a lot of people, and something that I try to stay focused in on is that I don't want to just share my success stories. I want to share the parts that are embarrassing and weird and awkward and painful and all that stuff. I want to share that stuff because that's the part that's compelling. What pisses me off is the people that, they go through such turmoil and then they write a book about it, and they just make it seem like this easy thing, and all of a sudden I became enlightened. Well, to be honest with you, I don't care. What I care about hearing is all the stuff that you went through on a minute by minute basis that made you have those aha moments, that made you question the nature of yourself and of your place in this world. And there's no question about it to me anymore. Anybody who truly becomes enlightened has to go, they have to experience the darkness, the ego of themselves. There's no way around it. And anybody that, and of the world, it's the yin and yang. Anybody that denies that does not know how this works, which is why I'm trying to take the shame out of it, which is why I'm saying, yes, I have PTSD. Okay, I'm not trying to be dramatic about this or to cling on to some labeling. What I'm saying is, if we're gonna say anything about it that is real and honest, okay, that's the clinical westernized diagnosis. Okay, let's move past that. What it really is a human experience that a lot of people go through. It doesn't even have to be that. Insert anything. Depression, anxiety of any kind, so many things. Any kind of pain that any human being can go through, you can insert that in. Whatever your story might be, or somebody that you know story would be. What I would say is the most helpful for somebody that is going through that, somebody that you know, or even yourself, is to stop trying to get out of it. Now, I want to be very, very clear with this when I say this. You are not giving up on yourself, and you are not being aimless. You have to meet yourself where you are. So, right now, for me, I'm working with a part of me that is about 4 years old. So when I have my PTSD episode, which can be, a couple times within a day, I can kind of like dissociate a little bit, where I kind of go back into that place within myself, and I have this emotional flooding, which means that everything in my body and my mind goes back to that place. It's very hard to not say, whoa, like, what is wrong with me, man? I should be doing all this other stuff, and look at all the other people that are my age that are doing this and that. What this journey has taken me to is being able to ask for what I need and meet myself where I am, so that I can move forward. And this goes back to something that my mom was explaining to me about parenting.